Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What's up, guys? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another lesson. Today we're going to touch on the sukoon once again. Only this time now we're going to use sukoon on all the letters of the alphabet. Before we only had sukoon on top of ya and wow. Now we're actually going to put sukoon on top of all the rest of the letters of the alphabet. Just a quick reminder what sukoon means. All it means is that if you look at the letter with sukoon, okay, so here in this case, the second letter has the sukoon on top of it, right? Sukoon was this, right? Just a quick reminder. The letter behind it, which in this case is this one right here, is actually going to connect to it. So in this case, this alif right here is going to connect to this one. So in this case, when you connect the sound with another sound, you get the sound okay. So that's all what sukoon is. Sukoon is just a matter of connecting letters together. Once you've connected the letter, it means you need to stop. You don't add an extra fatha, kasra, dhamma, or any other vowel sound to it. Okay? All you do is you just have that sound and you stop. Try a random one right here. How about this one? This one looks, let's look at this one. Just as a good example. So here's E, right? Here's I, right? Alif with the kasra is E. And now here's this tha with sukoon. It would be pronounced if. Okay? Notice I'm not adding a fatha. I'm not saying tha, thi, thu, than, thin, thun. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying if. Let's look another example. Here's an right here connected with a dal. So you get ad. Okay? Let's look at this one right here. Here's alif connected to za. We say az. So that's all we're going to be doing today. I'm going to say the letter. I'm going to, again, as always, I'm going to say the first letter, I'll say the second letter, and then I'll say if it has a fatha, kasra, or dhamma. And then the third time, I'll put it all together. Okay? So let's start from the top. Here we go. So let's take a look at this first one once again. I know earlier I said alif, alif, fatha, but for this lesson, remember what I told you, that we're actually reading the letter that's on top. So over here, we're not actually saying the alif, we're saying the hamzas. Okay, so usually I know I've said only say alif, but for this lesson, it helps if we say hamza, at least for these first three, and that way it can make more sense. Because remember, if the hamza wasn't on the second one, if this hamza was not here, right, I would be saying remember that rule? When you have alif, you just make it long with the fatha before it. But this is not alif. Okay, we're actually connecting to hamza, which is why when we say it like this, we will say hamza, hamza, fatha, a. Okay, hamza, hamza, kasra, I. Hamza, hamza, dhamma, u. I realize that it's going to be really confusing if I just keep changing hamza and alif, hamza and alif, hamza and alif. So just for those first three, I just use hamza. But for the rest of it, we can just start saying alif again. Remember, I only use hamza for those first three because we're actually connecting to a hamza and connecting to an alif are two very different things. Okay, if you were to connect to an alif, you would make a different sound, but because we're connecting to a hamza, we're also making a different sound. So from the rest of these, all of these, again, I'm just going to call them alifs again, okay, just for the sake of ease, okay, so that there's no confusion. Here we go. So we're going to start with this one, okay, alif, ayn, fatha, a. Notice how I turned that and then I went from the top of my mouth, and I connected it to the ayn sound, which is in the bottom of the throat. So okay, make sure you're able to do that. You don't want to make the same sound, otherwise you're just connecting an alif to another hamza. Okay, you have to make sure that you're making that ayn sound. Same for the next one, alif, ayn, kasra, okay, once again, I'm going from the top of my mouth down to the bottom of my throat. Here we go. Alif, ayn, dhamma, okay. Alif, tha, fatha, ath. Alif, tha, kasra, ith. Alif, tha, dhamma, uth. Alif, dhal, fatha, adh. Alif, dhal, kasra, idh. Alif, ذال ضمة أذ. ألف ضاء فتحة أض. ألف ضاء كسرة إض. ألف ضا ضمة أض. ألف زا فتحة أز. ألف زا كسرة إز. ألف زا ضمة أز. Alright, let's go on just to see to the end of the page here. ألف سين فتحة أس. ألف سين كسرة إس. ألف سين ضمة أس. ألف صاد فتحة أص. ألف صاد كسرة إص. ألف صاد ضمة أص. ألف حاء فتحة أح. ألف حاء كسرة إح. ألف حاء ضمة أح. ألف ها فتحة أه. ألف ها كسرة إه. ألف ها ضمة أه. ألف تا فتحة أت. ألف تا كسرة إت. ألف تا ضمة أت. Okay, so before we move on, I do want to draw your attention to these next three right here. So if you look at them right here, you got 1, 2, and 3. If you notice, all three of those have the letter ta in them. Now, ta is a special letter because it is a letter that if there's a sukoon on top of it, you're going to put a little bit of a bounce on it once you've connected it. A little bounce, a little bit of an echo. We call that qalqalah. I'm kind of jumping the gun here. I will talk more about this rule, qalqalah, in the next lesson. But for now, the way that you would basically pronounce these three letters would be with a little bit of a bounce. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. This would be alif, ta, fatha, alto. Okay, see how I did that little alto sound? I did a little bit of a bounce. I didn't make it too big. I didn't want to try and add an extra fatha to it, right? I didn't say alto. Okay, alto, really short, just a tiny little bounce. Okay, so this next one would be alif, ta, kasra, ilto. Down here, alif, ta, dhamma, ulta. Okay, so again, ta is one of those qalqalah letters. We will be encountering 4 more of those letters, so total that makes 5 qalqalah letters. And once again, in the next lesson, I'll go more into detail about that. Okay. So let's just scroll up some now. Maybe we can finish off this page. Let's see. All right, let's just continue. Alif, kaf, fatha, ak. Alif, kaf, kasra, ik. Alif, kaf, dhamma, uk. Okay, so this next 3. Qaf is also a qalqalah letter, so we're going to put a little bit of a bounce on these next 3 as well. So alif, qaf, fatha, aq. Alif, qaf, kasra, iq. Alif, qaf, dhamma, uk. Okay. The next one, ba, is also qalqalah. So here we go. Alif, ba, fatha, ab. Alif, ba, kasra, ib. Alif, ba, dhamma, ub. The next one is also qalqalah. Jim is a qalqalah letter. So here we go. Alif, jim, fatha, aj. Alif, jim, kasra, ij. Alif, jim, dhamma, uj. Okay, so now we are coming to the next qalqalah letter, and it is the last of the 5. So here we go. Alif, dal, fatha, ad. Alif, dal, kasra, id. Alif, dal, dhamma, ud. Okay, so those were all of the qalqalahs. We just went over all 5 of them. When I did the bounce, I did not give it an extra fatha sound, so be very careful. You want to keep that bounce very, very small. Okay, let's just continue. Here we go. Alif, shin, fatha, ash. Alif, shin, kasra, ish. Alif, shin, dhamma, ush. Alif, ضاد, fatha, ald. Alif, ضاد, kasra, ild. Alif, ضاد, dhamma, ud. Okay. Alif, ghain, fatha, agh. Alif, ghain, kasra, igh. Alif, ghain, dhamma, ugh. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is alif, ra, fatha, ar, alif, ra, kasra, ir, alif, ra, dhamma, ur. Okay, uh, I want to stop and talk about these three. If you remember in a previous lesson, I did mention that if ra has a fatha or a dhamma on top of it, you want to make sure that you give it a full mouth sound. And if there's a kasra under ra, you want to give it a very empty mouth sound. Now the same applies to this lesson here. If you look at this, you have a fatha before ra. Whenever you have a fatha before a ra, you want to pronounce that ra with a full mouth sound. Oh, okay. Look over here. You have this alif and it has a dhamma on top. And whenever there's a dhamma before ra, you want to pronounce ra with a full mouth sound. Now, just like before, here's a kasra. Whenever there's a kasra with a ra, you want to pronounce that ra with a very empty mouth sound. Ir. Okay, and I know I've been saying before ra, that ra should have a sukoon. Okay, so if there's a fatha or a dhamma on the letter before ra that has a sukoon, that ra should be pronounced with a full mouth sound. And if there's a kasra on the letter before the ra with a sukoon, it should be pronounced with a very empty mouth sound. Okay? Alright, let's carry on. Alif, fa, fatha, af. Alif, fa, kasra, if. Alif, fa, dhamma, uf. Alif, mim, fatha, am. Alif, mim, kasra, im. Alif, mim, dhamma, Alif, wow, fatha, aw. Remember, this goes way back. Well, not way back, but this goes back to lean. Okay, huruf lean. So, aw, okay. Alif, wow, dhamma, oo. Remember? So here's the difference. If you have an alif before wow, you would say aw. But if you have, if you have a fatha before wow, remember fatha before wow, you would say aw. But if you have a dhamma before wow, you would say oo. Okay, so now these next two are also going to demonstrate this next bit. So here's alif, ya, fatha, a. Okay, now here's alif, ya, kasra, e. So these four, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those four are actually a bit of review because we've seen them. If there's an alif, if there's a fatha before wow, we would say aw. Now if there's a dhamma before wow, we would say oo. If there's a fatha before ya, we would say a. And if there's a kasra before ya, we would say e. That basically wraps it up. The next video is actually going to be a part 2 to this because I do want to go more into detail about those Qalqalah letters, those 5 letters. So in the next video, we're going to practice that some more. And I'm actually going to take a little bit of a pause from this book. I'm going to pull up something from the internet maybe, and we'll go through that as the next lesson. Please, please, please check that out before you move on to the next formal lesson. That once we do get to that formal lesson, it comes out to be really easy for you. As always, guys, please make dua for me, and inshallah, I'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.